With LEGO releasing more than 500 new sets every year, some slip-ups are bound to make their way through to customers. Let's explore the most surprising mistakes in LEGO instruction booklets, set designs, and packaging. First up today is a mistake that I've never encountered before. A Reddit user named Foxman spotted something a little off when they were building their Eye of Sauron set. The last step of one of the bags calls for one of these hinge plates in black. Well, Foxman got something truly unique instead. This two-tone hinge plate is something that I've never come across before, and is certainly a strange error by LEGO. It's actually quite cool. While these plates are made from two separate elements, they're assembled at the factory and aren't designed to be taken apart. What's even worse is that Sauron very specifically asked for only black bricks to be used. I'm worried for this builder. Another example of a mismatched part was spotted by Fergs when they were building the AT-ST Raider from 2019. During step 179, you're told to grab one of these double pin Technic pieces and insert two Technic pins that you may recognize as flickfire missiles. This isn't a very common connection, but it's one that LEGO uses occasionally. However, it caused major issues in this set. Many builders were left confused when they tried to put these parts together because they simply didn't fit. As you can see, the Technic pin is a bit too large for the hole. So what gives? Well, this set was released in 2019, and LEGO was making a few changes back then. The part that was supposed to be included in the bag was officially retired in 2020 and was being phased out of production, with a new, slightly modified version taking its place at the time of production of this set. Starting in late 2019, LEGO introduced this new version, which is almost identical, but not quite. Looking at the two side by side, you can notice the different locations of the slits. That might not seem like a big difference, but it's just enough because the inside changed a bit too. These new parts have squared pinholes instead of round ones, meaning that the Technic pins used in this build simply won't fit. This is a big slip up by LEGO. It makes the set impossible to finish. Information on exactly how widespread this mistake was will probably never be fully revealed, but it seems like the early production batch of this set had the correct piece, while those produced in later months after the set's release included the new piece that no longer fits. Moving on, a fan named David sent in this image from their copy of the instructions for their McLaren set. While all the parts are in the right place, there's an error in plain sight. It seems that the instructions designer at LEGO had a bit of a brain fart, because the instructions go from 3 to 4 and then straight back to 3. As of now, this hasn't been fixed on the LEGO website, which leads me to believe that every copy of these instructions has this same error. Next up, a viewer of the channel named Nathan sent in this image from their Up Brickheads build. While building Carl, they noticed something a little odd. Now, as it is, there's nothing wrong with this setup. The 2x2 corner plate fits perfectly, but it does seem like an odd choice. Why not just use a standard 2x2 plate? Well, if you look at the actual instructions, you'll see that you're supposed to be using a normal plate. Even the set's official inventory shows that only a normal 2x2 plate should have been included. Instead, it was somehow swapped for this corner plate. A LEGO set having the wrong piece is very rare, but still must be quite annoying. And just like Nathan, if you've ever spotted an error, email me a few HD images and a short description to videos@spitbrix.com, and I may feature them in a future video. Now, another mistake from a Brickhead set can be spotted in this image posted on Reddit by a user named Educational Home. This is from the Gandalf Brickhead set and contains a subtle mistake. This step calls for 2 of these black snot bricks, but the build actually requires 3. Luckily, all of the right pieces are in the bag, and it shouldn't cause too much confusion. Regardless, it has already been corrected in the online instructions for this set. Now, overall, the vast majority of mistakes found in LEGO instructions are misprints, and that's the case with this submission from a fan named Ashley, who was left a little bit confused while building the abandoned mine. On step 14, you'll need to dig around for a 2 brick tall 2x1 element and a 3 brick tall 2x2 piece. While both of these pieces do get used, the same step also requires a standard 2x1 brick, which isn't mentioned in the step but is included in the set. Another error was spotted in the instructions for the Frozen Peaks set. On the very last page, we can see the completed model and everything seems to be perfectly fine. Well, if you look closely at Steve, you'll notice something a little odd about how he's holding his pickaxe. It seems like the instructions illustrator made a small mistake placing this piece, as it's clearly clipping through Steve's hand. These kinds of instruction rendering mistakes are harmless, but certainly worth pointing out, because some of them can be quite amusing. I can't imagine it feels good for Steve to have this pickaxe ripping through his hand, so hopefully he can get to the hospital quickly. But yet, it doesn't stop there, because an error from a different Minecraft set was spotted by a fan named Benjamin, who was left in the dark while building the Fox Lodge. In step 15, we need to place the torch next to some flowers. Nothing too wild. Well, fast forward to step 21 though, and that torch, as well as the flowers, are magically gone. What happened to them? Well, don't worry, because on the very next page, they're magically right back where they should be. However, this is hardly the only LEGO piece to pull a vanishing balancing act in an instruction booklet. As pointed out by a fan named Adam, one part in the Space Science Lab seems to take an extended spacewalk midway through construction. In the second instruction booklet on step 11, you'll need to add a single white 1x4 plate on the top of this window element. Well, come step 12 and the piece is no longer there. By step 14, still nothing. Same for steps 15 and 16. This piece just doesn't come back until step 17, 6 pages later. This is quite a weird error. Next up, a fan named Joe sent in a similar problem with the instructions from 2008's telescopic handler. In step 4 of the first book, we get this small sub-assembly with a handful of parts. Nothing too complicated. Well, when the assembly is added to the main build, something changes. This small yellow Technic connector used in step 3 of the sub-assembly vanishes as soon as it's attached to the main build. Luckily, this one also pops back up in the very next step. Sometimes though, there's the opposite problem, where bricks just appear mysteriously out of nowhere. That's the case with this submission from Dawn, who found something a little out of place in the Back to the Future Time Machine set. Let's start on step 72, where we can see a largely completed assembly. Take a close look at the bottom right, and you'll see the section being added. Cut to the next page, and we're told to remove 2 yellow bricks, but let's go to that same bottom right corner. What's that? It seems like a red brick has appeared out of nowhere. Well, turning to the next page shows a short step calling for a single red brick to be placed. It's an incredibly small mix-up, but it might be just enough to leave someone scratching their head. Regardless, I was sent another interesting mistake from a viewer named Finn, who spotted something odd in their instructions for the Batcave, the Riddler face-off. On page 13, step number 7, you're told to grab 4 of something. I've never seen a Lego part quite like that, and if this were a more complicated step, it could be a problem, but luckily the picture makes things pretty clear, and what you need are 4 of these minifigure telescope pieces. What's even more interesting though, and also adds some more confusion, is that the same mistake is repeated in the set's official inventory page at the back of the instruction booklet. It's as if part of this piece is invisible. Now, a different kind of mistake was spotted in the instructions from the super fun burger truck set by a Redditor named Few Obligation. And as I show you, go tap that subscribe button if you're enjoying these Lego mistakes. Alright, so just by looking at one of these images, it's impossible to spot the error. But when you view them side by side, you can see that the colors are slightly off. Specifically, the brown shades all seem slightly lighter than normal in the first image. This can happen sometimes and is just the printer at LEGO HQ running a bit low on ink. If you check the digital instructions on LEGO's website for this specific set, all the colors are perfectly balanced. Now, back in 2006, LEGO released the Build-A-Bob set, allowing you to build your very own SpongeBob. This is a fun build with 445 pieces and strangely no minifigures. The issue with this set though was sent in by a Redditor going by Entire Health and shows these pictures of the instructions. If you built a lot of LEGO sets in the 1990s and early 2000s, then there's nothing odd here at all. But there's been a pretty big change in LEGO design over the past 20 years that made this set stand out for a few newer builders. Nowadays, LEGO has a rule that any sticker must fit on a single piece to help make sure that taking apart a set doesn't ruin the stickers. Well, that wasn't always the case though, as shown in these images. These large stickers were called stamps, which stands for stickers across multiple pieces, and they used to be fairly standard. You can see one used in this instruction step for the 1995 promotional Maersk container lorry set, and here's another big sticker displaying a large Octan logo, which was used in the Indy Transport set released in 1996. But you see, not every LEGO mistake comes from the instruction booklet. A viewer calling themselves Potato Cow sent in this image of their Aston Martin DB5, and it caught my eye. This 298-piece set from the Speed Champions line comes with 2 bags, and they should be numbered. However, this bag seems to be missing it. Luckily, bag 2 was properly numbered, and even if it weren't, this wouldn't be a huge deal since this set is quite small. But imagine if this had happened in a massive set like the Eiffel Tower with over 70 bags. Yeah, things could get messy pretty fast. Now, one of the weirdest mistakes that I've seen was sent in by a fan named Isaac, who sent in this official promotional image of the UCS Millennium Falcon. This image was actually directly taken from the LEGO website, and as of writing this video, it's still up. Why is that a problem? Well, look closely at the front of the cockpit in this image. Now look at the front of the cockpit from the completed build. Do you notice anything missing? Yeah, this official promotional image, one of the company's most famous and expensive sets, uploaded by LEGO to their own website, is missing this printed dish piece. It's admittedly a small error for a set with more than 7,000 pieces, but it's such an iconic part of the ship that it's really hard to imagine LEGO messing this one up. Nonetheless, if you want to see even more mistakes, click here to see the craziest LEGO sets that break the rules. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more LEGO videos.